Well, I think that there are a number of reasons, but I would also say that that 200 number represents the number that have come into the United States through the U.S. refugee admissions program. North Koreans do come into the United States through other processes, which may not be counted in that number, and so the actual number here in the United States may be much higher. Beyond that, of course, many European countries had diplomatic ties with North Korea or have historical ties dating back to the Cold War period, and so there were just more North Koreans that were already in Europe at varying points in history that could be folded into local communities who may have stayed, including some of the overseas workers when there was a large push by the UN Security Council to have workers repatriated. Also, for various reasons, language ties and other cultural ties to South Korea make South Korea, of course, the continued preferred destination for many North Koreans. But I think at the end of the day, the important thing is that the U.S. Does have a pathway to accept North Korean refugees into the United States, and we stand ready to make that available to those that are in need. I'm always honored to meet with North Korean refugees and escapees because of the courage that it takes not only to take the arduous journey to get to freedom, but also the extra step that it takes to also be willing to speak out and to do advocacy on behalf of the millions of North Koreans that don't have a voice for themselves right now. I was particularly moved by the individuals that were a part of that visit who shared their stories of personal connections to individuals that were repatriated last October. And so the U.S. has, of course, made our position on the forced repatriation of North Korean refugees quite clear. We have called on all member states, including China, to abide by the principle of non-refoulement. So the U.S. has directly raised these concerns with the Chinese government and will continue to work through the various UN mechanisms to call attention to this issue, to continue, as I said, to remind member states of their international commitments and obligations, including to abide by the principle of non-refoulement. The UN Commission of Inquiry report very clearly and extensively documents the treatment that North Koreans who are forcibly returned to North Korea will face upon refoulement. And so there is no question that governments should be taking whatever actions they can to provide protection to those seeking it. I think it is appalling that the DPRK's repressive policies have kept families separated for decades in this way. And so we are committed to taking whatever actions we can to first get a better understanding of the community through the formation of some sort of registry that would allow Korean Americans who self-identify as being a part of a divided family to share their information with the U.S. government so that we have that information readily available if the opportunity comes to fruition for families to be reunified in this way. We also hope to be able to make a video registry available so that, particularly given the age of many of the individuals that are impacted, so that they can leave a message within this registry to be shared with their loved ones sometime in the future. So first of all, I love Radio Free Asia, so thank you all for taking the time to chat with me today. I think it's very important that we do all we can to just push as much information into North Korea as possible. And so someone had once mentioned to me that it's more about quantity over quality of content. I'd like to say that we're sending high quality content in, but I do agree that having making available to information-starved North Koreans both lighthearted content like K-dramas, but also news content that can help inform their decisions. It may be something like the weather report that can help them to determine what may be the best way to take care of their private crops, or for those that are still working in the marketplace, something that can help them to better understand how to engage in the marketplace. And so I think I would just encourage folks to think about pushing more and more information in, whatever that information may be. So my message for the North Korean people is just to say that the U.S. Sees you, and we care deeply for your well-being, and we will continue to do what we can to promote respect for rights and to help raise the dignity of the North Korean people. And for the regime, I would like to convey our continued openness to having a conversation about human rights. That, as I said, we do care for the North Korean people, and we want to see them succeed and to thrive, as we know that the North Korean people can. And so I very much hope and look forward to the day when we can sit down and be frank with one another about why respecting human rights is important. I am happy to take questions about the United States' own human rights record, and to engage in a conversation about what we can do together to make life for the North Korean people better.